All right, guys. So we are going to do chapter 7. No, I'm sorry, 8 and 9 today with Girl in the Locked Room. And look, Mrs. Griffin is going to join us. If you've been watching the videos for the home lessons, this should look familiar. Mrs. Griffin is joining us today for our, well, maybe we'll put her with the girl. What do you think? There you go. Ha! Here we go. The girl in the locked room looks down from her window and sees the dark-haired girl from the addition digging in the kitchen midden, of all places. It's the first time she's gotten a good look at her. If it weren't for her long hair, the girl would mistake her for a boy. She's wearing short pants, her shirt is shapeless. Something the girl can't read is written on its front, and her feet are bare and dirty. She doesn't know what to make of the girl's appearance. Not even the poorest girls wear clothes like that, and children don't go barefoot unless they cannot afford shoes. Everything in the midden is trash, yet the dark-haired girl has picked bits of porcelain, medicine bottles, tarnished silver, and broken dishes from the rubbish as if they were valuable. She's even dug up a broken doll, which seems vaguely familiar. Perhaps the doll once belonged to her. Yes, it must have, but surely it was prettier then, not broken and bald as it is now. It distresses her to look at the doll, and she turns away. Later she returns to the window, and the dark-haired girl is still there. If she expects to find treasure buried along with the trash, she'll be sorely disappointed. Indeed, she already looks disappointed. She swats at gnats and pushes her hair out of her face. She's hot and impatient. But she keeps digging, and she finds a group of tiny dolls and lays them beside the ugly doll. The girl's fingers remember. Ah, I love the way the author has done that. The girl's fingers remember how those dolls feel, cool and smooth and hard, and they're dirty and chipped now, but she remembers making them talk. What should they say now? Perhaps the little one says, "I'm scared," and the big one says, "Hush, go upstairs and lock yourself in the room before the bad men get you." Suddenly the dark-haired girl drops the dolls and looks around. Something seems to have frightened her. Did she hear what the dolls said? Yes, she did. Fearful of being seen, the girl in the locked room ducks below the window, but slowly raises her head to see what the dark-haired girl does next. She's throwing all the things she's found into the hole she dug, even the little dolls. She's finally realized it's trash, nothing but trash. And then the dark-haired girl looks down and sees a key, and she picks it up and turns it slowly as if she's examining it. The girl crosses her fingers and whispers, "Don't throw it away. Keep it. Find the lock it fits." The dark-haired girl can't possibly know which lock the key fits, but what if she tries the key in every door? She'll come closer and closer, from the first floor to the second, from the second floor to the third. She can almost hear the girl's footsteps, rather like a story she heard once long ago about a teeny tiny woman who stole a teeny tiny bone. She imagines the girl stopping at her door and poking the key into the lock, and she'll jiggle it back and forth and take it out and poke it in again, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Finally, the door will open, and the dark-haired girl will enter the room, and it will be the first time someone has come through the door since the girl was locked in. Everything will change. She doesn't know how she knows this, nor does she know how things will change. Maybe for good, maybe for bad. But how can anything be worse than already is? And she paces around the room, and her feet leave no tracks in the dust. Perhaps she's been here long enough. Perhaps no one will come for her except the men. Night after night they'll come, and she'll hide in the wardrobe. Day after day she'll stand at the window and watch the seasons change. Years will pass, centuries, and nothing will change. Is this what she wants? The girl tiptoes to the window, and taking care to hide in the shadow, she whispers, "Keep the key. Find the right door. Find me. Let me out." And below her, almost as if she doesn't notice what she's doing, the girl from the addition drops the key into her pocket and walks out of sight. The girl in the locked room claps her hands soundlessly, and soon the door will open and she will be free. Free to do what? Oh, mercy, she whispers. She has no idea what she'll do when she's free. That Mary Downing Hahn knows how to build a little suspense, doesn't she? She plants little seeds everywhere in your head while you're reading a book, while you're reading her books, and then you have to keep reading to find out what are the answers and what grows, what gets big, and then what wasn't really important that you thought was a seed. I like that part. So, chapter 9. Mom was Mom was where I'd left her, working on her novel. Without even looking at me, she said, "Not now, Jules, I'm busy." I used to do that to Elizabeth. I had nothing to do, nowhere to go, so I went to my room and opened my iPad. Using a drawing app, I made silly sketches of cats and dogs and horses. They weren't very good, so I deleted them and checked my email, and as usual, I had no messages. My thoughts wandered to the girl in the field. Out of curiosity, I typed in 1880 U.S. Census and hit search. Maybe I'd spot something Dad had missed. Most of the websites charged for accessing the census, but I finally found a free one and I entered Bennett for the surname as well as married for status and Virginia for residence. 114 Bennetts came up. Dad had mentioned a first name. What was it? Harry came to mind, but no one with that name turned up. But the search engine coughed up several Harriet Bennetts and one Harold and 3 Henry. Henry sounded possible. So I looked at all 3 Henrys. The most likely choice was 32 years old. His occupation was artist. His wife's name was Laura, and their daughter, Lily, was 1 year old. And also in the household was a tenant farmer, his wife, and a hired man. Sure that they were of no importance, I ignored them. I stared at my iPad, almost as mystified as before. The girl in the field must have been Lily Bennett, but I still had no idea what happened to her, or why I'd seen her, or what she wanted. I went to my window and squinted at the window on the 3rd floor. The sun lit the glass so brightly I could see nothing behind it. "Lily," I whispered. "Lily, tell me what to do." No one answered. No face appeared at the window, but she was there. I knew she was. I wished I had someone to talk to, someone who would believe me. "Jules," Mom called from the kitchen, "please set the table." And as I arranged the plates, the glasses, and the cutlery, I felt a weight in my pocket and pulled out the key. I was sure I'd reburied it with the other stuff, but here it was. I dropped it into my pocket without even noticing. And for a moment I stood still and studied the old key. "What door do you unlock?" The answer came like a whisper of air. "Lily's door, of course." Dropping the key into my pocket, I finished setting the table. My mind spun with ideas. I'd go to the 3rd floor and I'd unlock the door. I would free Lily. But I couldn't go there in the daylight. I'd have to wait until late at night when Dad and Mom were asleep. Was I brave enough to do that? Just thinking about it made my hand shake so badly I dropped a spoon on the floor. I said little during dinner, but Mom and Dad were too interested in their own conversation to notice. Dad described the progress he'd made with the walls and ceiling, and Mom told him about her idea to add a character to her novel, a child whose recurrent nightmares hold clues to the mysteries. Shocker. "I wonder where you'd get an idea like that," I muttered, but I kept my voice too low for her to hear or Dad to hear me. That night I hid the key in a little wooden box where I kept special things: seashells from a Rhode Island beach, stones from a creek in Ohio, a tiny silver bracelet Grandmother had given me when I was born, a plastic palm tree pen from Florida, a broken whistle, a couple of marbled childhood treasures worthless to everyone but me. And before I got into bed I looked up at the 3rd-story window. Its glass reflected the moon, but no one stood in the darkness staring down at me. "Lily, Lily," I whispered, "what do you want? Why are you here?" And for the next 2 days it rained, a cold, hard rain. Mom and I were trapped inside with no escape from the pounding of the hammers, the whine of the drills, or the roaring of the power saws. And heavy feet tramped around in the old house, and men shouted over the noise of their tools. They laughed and swore. I finished my book, and with nothing else to read, I played some games on my iPad, stared at the kitchen door, at the rain piling on the deck, and watched a few movies on demand. The Black Stallion, National Velvet, The Secret Garden. I highly recommend The Secret Garden. I'd seen them all before, but they were like comfort food for my mind. Knowing how they ended made me feel safe and happy. And on the 3rd day of rain, I begged Mom to take me to Hillsboro. There must be a library or a bookstore in town. I don't have anything to read, and Dad's crew is driving me crazy. "A break is a great idea," Mom pressed. "Save and shut down her laptop. The noise is giving me a headache." And she picked up her purse, grabbed her rain jacket, and tossed mine to me, and she found the truck keys and headed for the door to tell Dad where we were going. Reluctantly, I followed her into the house. Now that the plywood was off the windows, a gray, rainy light spilled into the rooms, and the crew had pulled up the rotten flooring and put down a solid subfloor. They'd gotten rid of tree limb and replaced the old stairs to the 2nd floor, and they'd swept up dead leaves and fallen plaster and other trash. The house smelled like new wood and sawdust. No more musty odor, no mold, no dark, scary corners. I looked up the stairs toward the third floor. Dad's crew hadn't done any work there, and it was still dark, even in daylight. I sensed Lily hiding behind her locked door, waiting for me to climb the steps, unlock the door, and help her escape from whatever held her there. If only I had someone who believed in Lily, a friend to climb those stairs with me and save a frightened child. So would you go with her? Yes or no? Curious.